Hey guys, so a friend of mine, Deadly, recently hit rank 1 on the ladder in EU as an AD carry. Just under a 60% win rate, over 1200 LP right now. He has another challenger account with a 63% win rate. Safe to say he's a pretty good AD carry. The cool thing is we can make this video together. He's from the UK, just like me. We've met at LANs before, so I could pick his brain about what he thinks makes a good AD, how to climb in solo queue for the rest of us, and I think this should be a really cool look at just what it takes to get that good. Obviously, he's going to have some kind of natural talent, but he's not a born sickhead either. He improved season to season to be where he is now. I will put his Twitter and stream down below. Make sure you go and show him some love. Not only is he an amazing player who will probably be in the LCS pretty soon, but he is also a really chill guy. We're going to start all of this with a champion pool and some other tips that he has for us. Then we'll look at why his Xayah is over a 70% win rate. It is that Xayah, Ezreal, and Tristana that are his most played. Tristana was there more at the start of the season though, when she just was kind of that good. But having Xayah at such a good win rate over 56 games is kind of disgusting though, but there is actually a reason behind it. He tries to only play Xayah if he has Rakan support. In his eyes, that is the strongest lane in the game right now for bot lane, and only a few combos can actually match it, like a Caitlyn with the Morgana or a Varus Leona if they're played correctly, which we hardly ever see. That means that you're going to be able to fight a lot, you can control the lane, you have lane priority, you get ahead, and in his words, collect the freest elo ever. Ezreal is the other one that past that is just very safe, which he thinks is one of the most important parts of solo queue, actually surviving throughout the game. When we were talking about this part, he did also point out that he's very dependent on how good you are and how good your mechanics are. If they are good, then he's pretty easy. Like, you'll be stronger than your opponent because he gets his items quicker and power spikes a lot faster into the game than traditional crit champions. He can also make a lot of solo plays, which is why he loves him and why honestly Korea are the same. Caitlyn and Kog'Maw are his final backups really. Caitlyn can stall the game past like 3 items through a wave clear, so she has her Q, she has static shiv as well. The combo together really means that the enemy can't take towers very easily as long as you're there to defend them, and once you hit 3 items, you're going to do a lot of damage. Kog'Maw is there because a lot of people abuse Aftershock and tanks now in the game this season, and he just melts through them. Basically, a lot of this can revolve around laning, which is why the next question about duo and solo queue as an AD carry makes a lot of sense. He says duo queue is a lot better to abuse certain lane combos like Morgana and Caitlyn or Xayah and Rakan. By the way, if you aren't sure why he keeps talking about Morgana and Caitlyn as a lane, even though it's not very popular, it's because Morgana can queue into a Caitlyn trap and queue guaranteed, and it's just really abuse. Like, there's not much you can do except dodge the first bind, but eventually one of them is going to hit. They also push really hard as a lane, and it makes Caitlyn even harder to kill with Black Shield. It's a very difficult lane to gank. Anyway, back to duo queue. So if you're using voice comms, then it's a lot easier to play bot lane versus a bot lane who is not duo. You'll also find a good amount of time, apparently the enemy bot lane is auto-filled, which kind of makes sense with the supports and stuff. You can just basically perma 2v2 kill them because you're playing your main champions and they aren't. If you're duo, then it should also be easier to track the enemy jungler and mid laner roaming a bit more. You have 2 pairs of eyes looking at the minimap in theory. You should do at least, and you should be able to talk to each other a bit more, and that's really the main thing that will mess you up as a bot lane. It is also more likely that you're just going to abuse better matchups, since getting a counter support matchup is what he thinks is the most important thing to win bot lane. I thought that was actually really interesting. Like, obviously a lot of the focus is on AD carries, but they don't really counter each other anymore, but it's more about the supports. I guess actually the support is often the one controlling the lane a lot of the time. Having a good matchup there is going to be pretty important. If you're not sure what kind of like supports will counter, obvious things will be like Morgana Black Shield versus crowd control. Now, I did also ask him though, what about if you can only solo queue and your support sucks? That's probably the question I ever get asked the most. So I asked Deadly. He thinks it really comes down to farm, which makes a lot of sense. You take everything that you can. That gets a lot harder when you group, but if you're just like perma mid lane playing Aaron basically, you should always try to take the enemy raptors and always take your jungler's raptors as well, because they give a lot of gold. He did also say that even if your jungler gets salty or mad, ignore it, because you're the one who's going to carry the game at that point anyway. I'm just going to say if a jungler is really toxic, you probably don't want to do that, but if he's just like annoyed with you, that is absolutely fine. The idea is basically you're going to farm until your spikes, and then you're going to fight with a bad support. And by spikes, he will mean that if you get a lot stronger at certain points, like AD carries is mostly item combos or a big item. So if you're playing Caitlyn, having 80% crit is a massive spike. That is 3 items. Even just completing Infinity Edge with a Shiv is big, because now your crits do a lot more damage. That is really how AD carries get strong. So you want to be playing around those and farming a lot when you have a bad support. That's all you can really do. Another thing I asked was mechanics versus knowledge. And for climbing in solo queue, he thinks mechanics mean the most. You can never play in a team, or you can have like zero knowledge about the game really, but be high master, challenger really easily if your mechanics are really good. Most of the games in solo queue really rely on the individual skill of players and winning your lane, and then how you can snowball that lead with your mechanics. That means you need to get a lead and stomping in team fights with that lead afterwards. And the chances are, if you're losing, it's normally because one or some of their players were better than the one on your team and they carried. So knowledge on the other side then is not as important, but in some situations it can really help, especially he thinks for support players. Knowledge is probably the most important thing for them, since if you know when to reset the lane, like when you're going to base and buy for tempo, which is like game pace and stuff, reset for like lane swapping or resetting for objectives, it can easily change a game into your favor, which is something we don't think about a lot. That is a little bit higher level, but basically, yes, you need a general understanding of how to win the game, but you don't need to understand the game that well as a whole if you want to win. By resetting as well, he means like sorting waves out, basing, buying, and moving to be in time for the next thing on the map. So if the lane phase and getting a lead is so important, what are the most important parts about the lane phase? And he says CSing is number one for an AD carry. You need items to do well, which I can't really say we're surprised here. You also need to know where the enemy is on the map. This is how you're going to be losing bot lane most of the time. If somebody surprises you, they roam down and catch you with your pants down. Wave management is also really important. When is it safe to push? When should you be freezing? When do you want to deny farm? And when do you want to recall, which is normally around a cannon minion. Finally, we have stuff like vision and lane priority. So are you forcing them backwards on the defensive? Are you trading better? Have the health advantage? And do you actually have wards to stop a gank coming? That's for our lane phase, right? But then what about after that? You really want to prioritize more farm, funnily enough. Position properly in team fights, so avoid what is actually going to be killing you, and playing around objectives and forcing them to come to you. One of the best general tips that he talked about actually for solo queue, climbing as an AD carry, is dying for zero reason, just like for nothing, can actually lose you the game pretty much on your own. Getting caught can really put you behind in CS and experience is a really important thing in League, even though we don't think about it that much. It's kind of interesting when you don't really think about this until you get very high level, but actually, yeah, we get a lot of free stats when we level up. The more experience we have, the stronger our team fight is going to be. I asked him about builds as well, but he says that really he just uses pro builds most of the time, which I'll link to down below, so you can go and look at that if you want to. Most professional players and pro teams will have analysts who have researched like mathematically the best builds and runes, so you can really just look at them. Obviously, a lot of this stuff is a bit different from like elo to elo, but one of the most common mistakes that he sees when he climbs on another account is that nobody cares about waves and farm. In his opinion, this is the most important thing as an AD carry. You should always be pushing out a wave before you go to an objective, as long as it's safe, because you need the farm. Games are a lot easier when you have more CS and more gold. Otherwise, you are just making everything a lot harder for yourself, and the game will be more difficult. AD carry is kind of a difficult role to show how good you are when you don't have enough items, but when you have more than enough items, it's actually very easy. I'm pretty guilty of this as well. Like, I group too much, I miss too much farm, which hurts a lot, especially mid game. So those are the questions that I asked Deadly, and we went over to try to give you guys some tips, I guess, if you're playing AD carry for solo queue. Just a few interesting things to probably like see, I guess, inside the mind of a rank 1 AD carry and what it takes to really get there. But let's have a look at one of his Zai games to show you exactly why Zai Rakan is just so good. So we're gonna start this off pretty early into the game, honestly. The level 4, Rakan's even bugged off into the river as well, so he's not here. But as soon as Morgana misses the bind, Deadly knows that he can charge in with his W and actually trade really well. It chunks him down to half health. Might not think that's too important, but you're gonna see why. Like, trading like that can lead to a lot of other things, which is why he's talking about Zai and Rakan just being so good together. Okay, so pushing it into the tower right now, Rakan's pops his potion. You're going to see he actually hits a double W. He hits them on both of them. Obviously, Ezreal is the back shield, but Morgana still gets knocked up. Deadly places his feathers with his W and with his Q as well. Uses E to hit both of them. Picks up the Ezreal, picks up the Morgana. Unfortunately, I mean, Nocturne comes here. This is kind of unfortunate. Without Nocturne showing up, that would be a 2-0, a dive. Just 2v2 as well. Level 5 on the tower. And that shows the power of Zai Rakan to start with. Now we'll see what he does with the lead. So this is the next like logical little bit in the lane phase. They force him out partly because Nidalee, if you have a look at the minimap, is in their base right now. So Ezreal and Morgana are chasing them down, chasing her down to try and kill them. You can see the Nocturne though on the blue buff, so they're gonna go and chase. This is a good thing now that Deadly is level 6. He's very safe with Zai, which is one of the biggest advantages there. But he's got Rakan to back him up as well. Rakan's not level 6. We'll pick it up off this kill as well, but that's gonna be another kill. And now they're gonna do something pretty interesting here. Actually, they know the Morgana is chasing the Nidalee, so she's not there at the moment. It is a 2v1. They're going to try and capitalize on it. So he actually goes and proxies the wave. The next wave coming in gets rid of this so it doesn't crash in the tower, and it doesn't, it means that they can try and dive this Ezreal. They're actually going to go through the tower, chase him down. Instead of running after Ezreal, which I'm sure a lot of people would do, they're literally just picking up their minions now to go and take this tower, so then they can start moving around the map a little bit more. So we actually haven't talked about like the recombo yet. That's obviously very famous, the two ultimates together. But we're going to see in a second. Ezreal is going to use his E forward, which probably is not the best thing ever. The Rakan's going to turn around. But it's that layering of CC that actually makes this lane so powerful and means you can fight so easily. With obviously the other benefits like the W damage and stuff like that. But the W into ultimate from the Rakan into the root from Xayah, that's Ezreal dead. And it swings that fight massively in their favor, like straight away. So now we're going to be looking at how Deadly, you know when he was talking about earlier, like how you use your lead and stuff in the game. At this point, he's got an Essence Reaver, Zeal, and Berserker who's that boost too. So he's not that fed, he is strong, but he's not ridiculous. But like, he absolutely blows up that Nocturne because he knows his damage, he's aggressive, he's running in, he's got his Rakan there with him anyway. He knows the Rakan is going to be able to save him with his ultimate if he has to, and Deadly has his ult as well, so he's very safe. But then we're going to have the Rakan going over the wall just with his W. Get a couple of crits from Deadly, which is crazy. Uses ultimate, flashes, or uses the E-flash actually onto the Malzahar afterwards to pick up that kill at the same time. And that is purely from Deadly just being ridiculously aggressive, which is why you really want to learn your champion's damage. They're going to pick up, what, that 3 kills plus this tower, then they're going to get the next tower after that. And suddenly that lead has grown massively just because of a couple of plays from, well, basically from Xayah and Rakan. So now I probably would class him as fed. He has his Essence Reaver, Rapid Cannon, and a BF Sword after that. He's got good farm. Yeah, he's actually pretty strong in this game. But they're going to be going through now trying to capitalize on it. You can see Malzahar isn't actually there. Syndra's not there either, but they managed to blow up the Morgana. Then he's going to turn the Ezreal. Watch where he positions now. Even though he was focusing on the Kennen, he actually swaps to the Ezreal. You might have to rewind it, but he swaps to looking at the Ezreal already, setting up the next kill with this ultimate. And he blows Ezreal's flashes and pick it up, but then he goes after this Nocturne right at the front, tanking tower as well. This is really how you play an AD carry when you get fed. A lot of AD carries get fed, not sure what to do with it, but instead of playing backline AD carry where you have to be really safe, when you're ahead of the curve in the game, you want to be this aggressive and you want to be almost frontlining, obviously when it's safe to do it, but actually killing everybody and using that damage that you have. Just going to play this in the background as we talk about at the end of the video. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this. It's a little bit different what I do. It's kind of almost like tips from the rank 1 AD carry to get in the mind of him and see how it actually like works, I guess, how he thinks about stuff, how he plays the game a bit more, and what he values is one of the best things for AD carry. As you can see, is human. He does die in games at the same time as well, but yeah, he is a beast. Make sure you go show him some love on Twitter and on his stream as well. If you want to learn AD carry, he's probably one of the best people to learn from. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know what you think down below. Let me know what you think I'd do differently if we do something like this again. But yeah, thank you for watching the video. And for now, I will leave you with the robots.